You're watching or listening to a special edition of Oak Talk. This is available in many platform opportunities this week. It's also available online, GoMightyOaks.com. Seated around this table are Mr. Brian Baker. Brian currently serves as Associate Vice President for Advancement here at Oakland City University. Mr. Baker returned to OCU in 2001 as an admissions representative and has been promoted 4 times during his 19-year career at the institution. He holds a Master of Science in Management, Bachelor of Science in Accounting, CFRM from Indiana University Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, Indiana Real Estate Broker License, and he is a Notary Public. Additionally, he is a member of the Gibson County Chamber of Commerce and serves as president of the Gibson County Visitors and Tourism Bureau Board. Mr. Baker and his wife, Jamie, have 2 daughters, and they reside in Princeton, Indiana. Brian, it's good to have you with us.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Also seated with us here are Susan Sullivan, who is our Alumni Director, Director of Alumni Affairs, and has been in that post for the past 12 years. She has 14 years experience with Oak-A-Thon, which we're going to talk about this afternoon, this evening, wherever you may be as you pull this up or listen to the podcast as well. Susan hails from Petersburg, Indiana.
Yes.
Has worn many hats at the university
Yes.
over a number of years and was previously Director of Bachelor Programs
Yes.
for, at that time, the School of Adult and Extended Learning.
Yes.
Susan, so great to have you.
Good to be here.
Thank you for coming. Our engineer producer of Oak Talk is Matthew Doty. Matthew is seated on the far end of this table. Matthew is not only the Director of Promotions for the School of Athletics for the OCU Athletic Department, but he's also wears a number of hats with the Athletic Department. Matthew, great to have you. Just tell us what else you do for the OCU Athletic Department.
So I'm the Assistant Sports Information Director. So I work with David Hose. He's been here for a while, so he's teaching me the ropes of the statistics and the behind the scenes of every athletic event, as well as I'm the Associate Men's Soccer Coach. So I'm working with Coach Sproul, who I played for 3 years and learned a lot. So it's good, and I'm the Promotions Director, like you said. So we've had some good advancements through that. We're live streaming sports now, which is very cool. One thing that I wish would have come across whenever I was playing. So I'm glad we're able to make some changes and help out our student athletes feel like we're more of a family here. So.
Well, thank you, Matthew. It's great to have you, and thanks for all of your help in producing our podcast, as well as all of the work that you do for OCU Athletics and promotions. Speaking of that, my name is Steve Custer. I'm Associate Professor of Business, in addition to announcing many events here at OCU. Very involved in the School of Athletics. Or I want to keep saying the School of Athletics, that it really is a school that encompasses so many different areas. Our athletic department is just a vital element for our school, for our institution. I'm also faculty athletic representative here at OCU. So we're glad that you're with us, and hope that you will share this information with those within your sphere of influence today, because we want you to know about a very special opportunity that is fast approaching here at Oakland City University. It's called Oak-A-Thon, and we've had this event in years past. I know around this table we have our guests today have a great amount of experience with this, and I would like for them to tell us about this year's Oak-A-Thon. Brian and Susan, tell us about this year's Oak-A-Thon. How long have you and Oakland City University been conducting this wonderful event?
Sure, Steve. Thank you. Let me say first, thank you for having us today. We're excited to be here. Oak-A-Thon has occurred for 34 years, and alumni will recognize Oak-A-Thon as known as Phone-A-Thon. But last year we decided that folks do not answer the phone. And if you ask my wife, if a number calls on her cell phone and she doesn't recognize it, then she normally doesn't pick it up. And so we decided to take a different approach with Oak-A-Thon, that we're going to start marketing through social media, through email, about folks that can give in different ways, although we still do the phone-a-thon part. We still do the phone calling with our students, but it's morphed into something larger than just phones.
Certainly, and we're excited to hear that. If you're watching this today, it's already morphed into another vehicle, another platform on social media. And if you're listening to us today, either on GoMightyOaks.com or some other way in which this has been shared, welcome, and we're glad to have all of our audience in this manner. So you've already accomplished a great objective in that, in expanding your territory in that, Brian. So you're to be commended for that.
Well, thank you. It's been a tradition for 34 years, and we did not want to stop that. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, about the benefits of continuing to have alumni and students engage over the phone. And I do ask that if you see Oakland City University pop up on your cell phone, that you do answer it, because what's going to be on the other end of that is a student caller.
So I'm sure, begs the question our audience has, when does this year's Oak-A-Thon take place?
Sure.
It starts on March 2nd. It goes through the 19th. We do 4 nights of calling each of those 3 weeks for a total of 12 nights. And Oak-A-Thon Central is in the lower level of the Murray Center here on campus.
And so if somebody might be curious here, they might have been a student or heard about this event in its various forms through the years. I can only imagine a great amount of planning goes into preparing for this event. What can you tell us about that level of planning?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of planning goes into it, and alumni and friends who are watching this video at home might have already received a mailer that went out. I know I got mine on Saturday. And
I got mine too.
Okay,
Yeah.
and if you live out of state, it takes a few days, but generally speaking, that goes pretty quick. And what we say to our donors is that if you'd like to make a contribution ahead of Oak-A-Thon, that we will pull your name from the calling list, because there are some folks who don't want to be called. And so we put every effort into, if you'd like to send your charitable gift ahead of time, then we'll pull your name from the list.
And so that begs the next question: who do you call on this quite an effort that you have? Who do you call?
Alumni are key.
Right. It's generally alumni. Some of it will be friends and donors that are not alumni. But for the most part, we're calling our alumni.
And how in the world do you get volunteers to resource such an effort?
Well, let me say that we would not be able to do this effort as it currently stands without the help of the OCU Athletic Department. And you were talking about earlier about your involvement there, and we are grateful for our friends over in athletics, because years ago, as Phone-A-Thon started, Oak-A-Thon started, it was alumni who came in and called other alumni. But again, as that developed, we learned that alumni really like to talk to students. And so the athletic department stepped up years ago, and the coaches said that their teams, each team would take 1 night of calling. And so primarily it is the athletic department, although we do have Student Government Association, we do have student ambassadors, we have different various student groups. But we could not do this effort without the athletic department.
We're very grateful for the volunteerism, for the servant leadership of our students as a whole here at OCU, certainly our student athletes. So thank you, Brian, for, in this lingo, for giving them a shout out. We're glad that you acknowledge that, and that we're grateful for that. I know that is a feeling shared around this table.
Sure.
Well, when you think about evenings of Oak-A-Thon, for somebody that's just now learning about what Oak-A-Thon is about, they'd like to be involved, what does a typical evening look like at Oak-A-Thon?
Well, normally we have everything set up and ready to go by 5:30. A lot of students come directly from the cafeteria and their evening meal, and they come down. We have a short training session. A lot of our students are previous volunteers, or if they're upperclassmen. So we're always glad to have those on hand. And we set them up. We have 16 phone stations. We set them up with everything they need: donor cards, bowl of candy, bottled water,
Drinks,
all the
right,
comforts of home.
Right.
And they call people. And by the end of the phone-a-thon, they will actually have made several thousand phone calls.
So it's quite an extensive effort, but it's a lot of fun for those who are involved.
Yes, we try to have some incentives. Whoever gets the first gift of the night gets something. We have some prizes involved. We also try to get healthy competition between the athletic teams, because we post each team's total for the night.
That is wonderful, and we're excited about this year's event. I know that you are too, and with that, I'm sure through the years that you have kept records and know how much you have raised since this effort began. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. And we're excited to announce today, we did some calculations this morning, that this effort in its history has raised over $2 million, primarily in scholarship money for students. Now, in the past years, we have had capital projects, and we'll talk about those here in a minute, but for the majority of that $2 million has gone directly back to students.
And so might you define a little bit better how those resources have been used? Because I'm sure that folks might not truly understand the magnitude of how important their giving is. How have these gifts been used?
Yeah, absolutely. And scholarships are critical to a private institution. And our tuition is, obviously, it's more than a public place. And so we know that our 99% of our students rely on scholarship money. And it comes in various forms. But as a former student, I can say that I would not have been here without a scholarship. And so I think if you talk with our student body, they are appreciative and grateful of the donors who have provided that scholarship money.
And so absolutely they are, and we're grateful for your viewing and listening to this wherever you may be, and hope that you've caught the enthusiasm that this table has for this wonderful event. So that begs the question, why Oak-A-Thon?
Yeah, why Oak-A-Thon? It is the history and the learning experience that it brings for students, and the opportunity that it brings for alumni to hear from current students. Because every night we have a couple of alumni who spend 30 minutes to an hour talking to a student and sharing their stories back and forth. And as we've looked at this effort, again, we didn't want to stop that because some of that is intrinsic to this institution. And I think the learning experience for our students is that somebody gave so that you might be here today, and then once you're a Mighty Oak alumni, it's your duty and responsibility to provide for the next generation.
Absolutely, and particularly I respect that, both considering OCU, one of my alma maters, that I love to support, and also love to support on campus as an active, involved individual in so many capacities, and I know you share that. And having been a student here, having been an admissions director for a period of time, I'm certain that through the years, maybe an event like this has taken on even greater meaning to you.
Well, it does, because at the end of the day, the reason that we are here is students. But that's why we do what we do, Steve. And so never to lose sight of that, and to ask alumni to remember their experience, and to remember that, again, somebody gave so that they could be a Mighty Oak.
Absolutely, and as we go forward, surely there's somebody out there that is watching this or listening to this, and maybe you didn't know what Oak-A-Thon was about, but now you do. And you have an opportunity, because there's still several weeks away before this happens. You might receive a phone call from one of our students who's calling. You might have given in the past and thought, how in the world am I going to give again this year? This is a wonderful opportunity. You may have received, as a previous person who has given to this university, a special invitation to do so on behalf of this body, and also Dr. Dempsey, our president, who has sent out a personal letter as well. However you heard about this, we hope that you will take every effort and make every initiative to resource future students, future programs of Oakland City University in such a powerful way. Susan, as you think back about the level of involvement that you've had through the years, what gives you the greatest amount of satisfaction?
I think it's when I hear a student connect with a caller, and that caller has also been a phone-a-thon volunteer in the past, and or when we have a student connect with an athlete from the past, and they connect over, they played baseball or they played softball, or it's the interaction there, and the fact that they're supporting their school, and the students feel like they're a part of that.
That is wonderful. Matthew, when you were a student as well, and now that you're involved intimately in athletics as well, what do you think of when you think of Oak-Talk and Oak-A-Thon, and possibly the Phone-A-Thon in its previous manifestation?
I mean, for me, it was a good experience. I was able to, like Susan said, connect with other alumni and athletes. And at the time, I was a student, so I was able to learn about their experience and find out what Oakland City was like when they were here compared to whenever I was here. I remember I've talked to people who graduated 2 years before me, or even 20 years before me. and being able to find some like-minded ideas, and it's very cool. And it's a good way to kind of get out of a comfort zone. If you're not comfortable talking to people you don't really know, you can do it over the phone. You can get some confidence, and you're gonna get told no, sorry, but
We do.
but the ones that say, yeah, how can I help? Can you tell me some more?
Right.
You're able to explain and give some more information. And I mean, everyone you come across is going to be friendly. And
So
that's
there's a
good.
learning experience, a learning
Oh, yeah.
component to this for our students
Yep.
that might go unsaid,
Yeah.
but it nevertheless can be a valuable part of their educational journey, but also so fulfilling to build those relationships, to expand those relationships. Brian, any last words as we think about this that
Yes.
you really would like our audience to
Yes,
know?
I do have something, and I want to say that the Bible is clear in terms of giving. There are more verses in the Bible that talk about giving than even God's love. And so it is a word that we have taken on this last year in our strategic plan called stewardship. And you see it across campus, but we believe as stewards of God's money that there is a blessing in giving, and actually, as Jesus said himself, the greater blessing is in giving, not in receiving. And so I ask just all of us to think about that as a Christian university, that it is our opportunity, our blessing to give back just a small portion of what God's given to us.
Absolutely. That is so well said and echoed around this table, I am sure. And I've often said, we only have a finite period of time to try to make a difference in the lives of those with whom we contact and influence. And certainly our OCU family is very special to us. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Susan, for your involvement, level of commitment through the years with this great initiative. Matthew, for your involvement and excitement as you continue on in our promotions. And we thank our audience for joining us today, wherever you may be, on this special edition of Oak Talk, promoting Oak-A-Thon, which is in the coming days. It is scheduled for March 2nd is the beginning, March 2nd through the 19th, 5:30 to 8 p.m., Mondays through Thursdays of each week. Oak-A-Thon, please be involved and have a wonderful day.